We were discussing proof techniques. In particular, we were discussing mathematical induction. So, this proof technique has got three components, namely the base of the mathematical induction. Then there is something called induction hypothesis, where you make an assumption which is true in relation to the base case. Then further it also acts as a bridge between the base case and something called induction step. Then as part of the induction step, you prove, assuming the claim is true for k, you prove it for k plus 1. And once these three components are done, we say the claim is true for any integer k if the claim involves integer. This is the general idea, and we have seen one example, and we also saw a couple of insights. Is the assumption always true? Answer is yes. And because when we make the assumption and the lower bound as part of the inductive hypothesis is precisely starts at the base of the induction. So for the base case, we have given an explicit proof. So which means when we say it is true for say k is at least 2, and if k equals 2 is proved as part of the base case, then there is no gap as part of the assumption. Then with this we prove for k plus 1 as part of inductive step. Now the claim is true for k equals 3. Now again this cycle starts assuming k equals 3, and which is a true assumption, and we get into the proof for k is equal to 4, and the cycle starts. Finally you conclude the claim is true for any k. And let's discuss a couple of more case studies on this line. So here is a claim. Okay. See, when we apply mathematical induction, the first thing is we must focus on the induction parameter. By looking at the problem, we need to identify what that parameter is. Fixing the parameter, one has to run the induction. So in this case, the parameter is n. Now you ask, if n is equal to 1, is the claim true? Is n is equal to 2, the claim is true, and so on. For some problems, it may not be true. For example, there are problems for which the claim may not be true, maybe up to n is equal to 10. Until this, claim is false. And the claim starts from this. From 11 onwards, it is true. And starting from this, the claim is true, which means this will be my base case. So you have to start your induction at this. Then assuming this, you prove this using induction step. Again, this goes into hypothesis. Assuming this, you prove this, and so on. And there are problems where the base case starts at 32, 63, and so on. So by looking at the problem, one has to fix the induction parameter. After fixing the induction parameter, we should see, and is the claim true for all values of n starting from 1, or is the claim true starting from say 11, is the claim true starting from 63. And once you fix that, you can get into the induction step and complete the argument. So let us look at this case study. And base case is n is equal to 1, and when n is equal to 1, LHS is off, and off is less than or equal to 1, so the claim is true. Now we have something called inductive hypothesis. Assume the claim is true for n greater than or equal to 1. The lower bound here, so the lower bound specified as part of induction hypothesis must be explicitly proved, as part of base case. Okay, so please note this should not happen. For example, so you say base case, say n is equal to 1, it is proved, and you say the hypothesis starts from assume the claim is true for n greater than or equal to say 3. Now if this is the case, you have to be careful. Now there is a gap in our assumption. What is that gap? We don't know. We do not know whether the claim is true for n is equal to 2 and n is equal to 3. Fine. So inductive base case says for n is equal to 1 claim is true. Then the hypothesis, we say assume the claim is true starting from 3 onwards. And but the base case does not talk about 2 and 3, or rather we don't see a proof for 2 and 3 as part of our procedure. So which means there is a gap in our assumption. We do not know whether the claim is true for n is equal to 2 and 3. So if you say it starts from 3, we should have given proof for n is equal to 3 as part of the base case. And n is equal to 1 and 2, it is up to you. And we don't really give importance to n is equal to 1 and 2. It may be true. If it is true, you give. But for n is equal to 3, the proof must be given, and only then the process is valid. Okay, so please keep this in mind. The lower bound that we fix here, we should have proved that explicitly as part of the base case. Okay. Now we have induction step. So as part of induction step, we need to prove, so we need to show that 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 so on to 1 by 2 power n plus 1 by 2 power n plus 1 is strictly less than 1. So please note, when I say assume the claim is true for n greater than or equal to 1, this part is less than 1. This is inductive hypothesis. Now when you have 1 divided by 2 power n plus 1, n plus 1th term as well, now together we need to show it is less than 1. Okay. So what we do is the following. So what I do, take this, so you write the first term, from the rest I am taking 1 by 2 common. So 1 by 4, from 1 by 4 I take 1 by 2, so you get remaining. Then 1 by 8 I get 1 by 4, like that it goes. And from 2 power n I am taking 1 by 2 out, so you are left with this. Is this fine? Always remember this. When we look at the induction step, we should fine tune the expression appearing as part of induction step in such a way that you can get an expression which you have assumed as part of the induction hypothesis, or rather modify the expression in such a way that you can bring in inductive hypothesis. That is the purpose, right? And the purpose of making this assumption is to make use of this as part of the induction step to complete the induction. So you will have to somehow modify this so that one can bring induction hypothesis. Further, it will help me to complete the induction pretty easy. And so completing the induction is pretty easy if you bring in the induction hypothesis. Now by inductive hypothesis, we know this one is less than 1. This is by inductive hypothesis. Fine. So what we have is half and plus half, and this quantity we know it is strictly less than 1. Correct? So now this quantity is strictly less than 1. So which means this quantity, so you have half plus half, this expression is strictly less than 1. Now this quantity is strictly less than half, and this quantity is half plus a quantity which is strictly less than half. Together it is strictly less than 1. Correct? So this quantity is strictly less than 1, which means along with half into this quantity will be strictly less than half. With that you add half, you get a quantity which is strictly less than 1. That shows that our claim is true for all n greater than or equal to 1. So what did we do? We proved the claim is true for the base case, and for all k or n, so for all n greater than or equal to 1, if it is true for p of n, assume the claim is true for this, then as part of the induction step we have proved it for p of n plus 1. After doing base case, assuming inductive hypothesis, completed the induction step, we conclude therefore the claim is true for all n greater than or equal to 1. This is the first order logic notation or expression for the mathematical induction, or the stages process involved in mathematical induction. Okay, so please remember, one should bring inductive hypothesis as part of the induction step, otherwise it is of no use in making this assumption. That's one, and it will make your life easy in simplifying the expression. So I just have to fine tune the expression so that you get to see the hypothesis expression, and hypothesis expression says claim is true, which means this is strictly less than 1. Then simplify, the answer will be done. And remember, and there are problems where the base case starts at a later stage. We will see a couple of them, and for most of the problems you will see that base case is at 1 or 2 or 3. Okay, so we will see one more case study following this time. The next claim is the number of diagonals in an n-sided polygon So consider an n-sided polygon. In an n-sided polygon, as we say n into n minus 3 by 2. As always, let's verify for some base values before we attempt a proof. So n-sided polygon, so n is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2, not defined. It is not appropriate to talk about one-sided polygon, two-sided polygon, and so on. So we need at least 3. So look at n is equal to 3. So if you look at n is equal to 3, this is your three-sided polygon, and number of diagonals is 0. Look at this picture, there are no diagonals, verify. So 3 into 3 minus 3 by 2, 0. Let's verify one more, then we can get into the induction part. Consider a four-sided polygon. One can have this diagonal, one can have this diagonal, correct? So number of diagonals is 2. Let's plug in the value 4 into 4 minus 3 by 2 is 2. Okay. It looks like it is true for 3 and 4. Let's make an attempt. Make an attempt in proving this claim. Then you have inductive hypothesis. Assume for an n-sided polygon, comma, n greater than or equal to 3. Please note, I am assuming 3 because 3 is explicitly proved as part of the base case. So the lower bound given as part of the hypothesis must have been proved as part of base case. And assume for an n-sided polygon, the number of diagonals is n into n minus 3 by 2. Now let's get into the induction step. So please note, I should make use of this as part of the induction step to complete the induction. So that's very important. One should not run inductive step independent of hypothesis. Similarly, the hypothesis should not be independent of this. For example, when I say n starting from 3, the base case is brought in. Similarly, when I prove induction step, I should bring in hypothesis. Only then you see that these three are tightly coupled. Fine? Okay. Now we need to show that for n plus 1 sided polygon, the number of diagonals is n plus 1 into n plus 1 minus 3 by 2. Fine? Okay. Listen. So, to prove this, I need to make use of the hypothesis. Listen carefully. So, you have n-sided polygon, something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say n is equal to 5. From this you construct n plus 1, 6. So something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, then you are adding sixth vertex, which is adjacent to 1 and 5. Okay. Then when you look at 7, you will add the 7th vertex which is adjacent to 1 and 6. So in general, you have an n-sided polygon. So you have an n-sided polygon. So from this, to get an n plus 1 sided polygon, what are we doing? We are adding n plus 1th node and making it adjacent to 1 and n. Remember, this was the side of the polygon with respect to n-sided polygon. This edge or this line 1 and n, this was a side of the polygon, correct? The same edge, what happens? It becomes a diagonal in n plus 1 sized polygon. So you have added n plus 1th node and made it adjacent to 1 and n. Then there was a line or an edge connecting 1 and n. What happens? That becomes the diagonal as part of this, correct? So remember this carefully, because when we move from hypothesis to induction step, we make use of n-sided polygon to construct n plus 1 sided polygon. And for example, you have n is equal to 3. Now from n is equal to 3, you are adding, this is my 1, 2 and 3. I am adding 4, and 4 is adjacent to 1 and 3. Now what will happen? This 1, 3, it was an edge. Now this becomes a diagonal, correct? And you may get some other diagonals. Other diagonals may be contributed by this. Correctly, yeah? Okay. So, listen carefully. So, in n plus 1 sided polygon, there are 3 types of diagonals. One, diagonals present in n-sided polygon. Whatever diagonals you have here, they will continue to be there. Plus new diagonals incident on n plus 1th node. For example, from 4 you get new diagonal. From n plus 1, I may get this diagonal, I may get this diagonal, I may get this diagonal. There are new diagonals that are created due to the introduction of n plus 1 plus the edge 1n, right? That was the side of the polygon with respect to n. That will become a diagonal with respect to n plus 1 polygon. Then the side 1 comma n. So there are 3 diagonals, 3 types of diagonals. One is diagonals present in the n-sided one, new diagonals created due to the introduction of n plus 1th node, plus the side 1 comma n, right? The side of the polygon. That will no longer be a side, but it will become a diagonal. Okay. So the side 1 comma n becoming a diagonal. So now we just have to count all three to complete our counting argument. So we saw that when we move from n to n plus 1, we create three types of diagonals. Diagonals which are already present, and the new diagonals that are incident on n plus 1th node, and the side 1 comma n becoming a diagonal. Okay, let's do this carefully so that you appreciate this better. Let's see how things move from n is equal to 3 to 4. So n is equal to 3, this is the picture, and number of diagonals is 0. Now see what happens. From 1 to 3, you introduce 4, and 4 is adjacent to this. Number of diagonals present in the n-sided polygon is 0, plus new diagonals incident on n plus 1th node. Correct? And with 1 and 3 it will not create because they are the side of the polygon. With other vertices it will create, in particular with 2 it will create, that is 1. Then the side 1 comma n, in this case it is 1 comma 3, so you get this. So total number of diagonals is 2. Now we will see from this how do we get 5. So this is your 4-sided polygon. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. From this, let me move to 5-sided polygon. So now I am introducing 5 and attaching these two. Now what all happening? Number of diagonals present in this is precisely these two. So that is there. Plus, in addition to that, that's precisely what? 2, 4 and 1, 3. Then 5 will be adjacent to 2. 5 will be adjacent to this. Correct? That would be another 2. Then 1, 4, that's 1n. That will become a diagonal now. So that is 1. So you get 5. Okay. And verify the formula. N into n minus 3 by 2, which is 5 into 5 minus 3 by 2, which is 5. So when we move from 4 to 5, the existing diagonals, they will be there. You will get 2, 4, you will get 1, 3. In addition to that, the node 5 creates new diagonals. So it will be adjacent to 2 and 3. That is 2. Then the side 1, 4, it was a side with respect to 4-sided polygon, but it will become a diagonal with respect to 5-sided polygon. That contributes another 1. Okay. In general, what is happening? When you bring n plus 1th vertex, it will create new diagonals with all of them except these two, which means this n plus 1th vertex creates n minus 2 new diagonals. With 1 it will not create, with 4 it will not create. So there are n of them. In n, take 2 out, you get n minus 2. It will create n minus 2 new diagonals. Correct? So how many diagonals we create in n plus 1? Number of diagonals present in n-sided polygon by inductive hypothesis, it is n into n minus 3 by 2. Please note, I am using inductive hypothesis at this place. So you get n into n minus 3 by 2 plus how many new diagonals are created? I am creating n minus 2 plus the side is becoming this. So you simplify, you get n square minus 3n plus 2n minus 4 plus 2 by 2, which is n square minus n minus 2 by 2. Okay. So on simplification, you get n plus 1 into n minus 2 by 2, which is n plus 1. This I am rewriting it as n plus 1 minus 3 by 2. Now when you plug in the formula, if n is n plus 1, you get n plus 1 into n plus 1 minus 3 by 2. So therefore, for all n greater than or equal to 3, the number of diagonals is n into n minus 3 by 2. This completes the induction. Let me repeat this part. We have proved for n is equal to 3, which is the triangle, number of diagonals is 0. Then assuming the inductive hypothesis starts from 3, we moved on to 4. Then we played with couple of examples before we got this observation. For example, you take 3, number of diagonals is 0. When you go to 4 and the contribution from this is 0, plus this new vertex is creating 1, and the side of the polygon 1, 3, over here it is side, when it comes here it becomes the diagonal. So that is another one. So when you move from 4 to 5, the 5 is creating diagonals with 2 and 3, that's 2. The existing diagonals are 2, and the side of the polygon 1, 4 over here becoming diagonal at this place, so that's 1. So in general, this one is not creating diagonal with these two, with the rest of them it is creating. So